An Acharya has to be self-realized, he has to be liberated, and he must be an Uttamadhikari Paramahamsa Vaishnava. Nowhere in his entire teachings does Srila Prabhupada talk about a person called Bipin Bihari Goswami. Srila Prabhupada never referred to our Parampara as Diksha Parampara or Siksha Parampara. Mention of a possibility does not constitute an order. All the Gurus in the Guru Parampara are pure devotees. The capability to take the disciple back to Godhead, he should not give initiation. The GBC's concoction is playing havoc with the society and the lives of innocent devotees. The GBC has the audacity to change Prabhupada's books, to contradict him, to find fault with Prabhupada's words. Not a single shred of evidence that Srila Prabhupada ordered gurus to be nominated with a no objection indicated by the GBC law. Hare Krishna, Vishwaguru Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. One of the arguments presented against the Ritvik system of initiations, which has been instituted in ISKCON by Srila Prabhupada, is that our Guru Parampara is a Siksha Parampara. It's not a Diksha Parampara. The oft-quoted example is that of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. It is said that Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur took Diksha from one Bipin Bihari Goswami. But this Bipin Bihari Goswami is not an Acharya in the Madhva Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya. There are other such examples too. Hence, those Vaishnavas in good standing who are not Acharyas in the Guru Parampara, who may not be Uttamadhikari Paramahamsa Vaishnavas, can give Diksha, like Bipin Bihari Goswami, who is not part of the Guru Parampara. This argument is put forward by the supporters of the self-appointed, unauthorized Guru system in ISKCON. They put forward this argument to justify their GBC's unauthorized, no objection indication of unqualified devotees as Diksha Gurus in ISKCON. To clear the air of the confusion created by this argument, we need to first understand that there are two separate and unrelated processes being compared here. The first process is that of the appointment of an Acharya to the Guru Parampara. An Acharya has to be self-realized, he has to be liberated, and he must be an Uttamadhikari Paramahamsa Vaishnava. Such an elevated Paramahamsa, chosen by Krishna himself to represent him, is identified by the predecessor Acharya and appointed as the next Acharya. For example, in this conversation, an Indian man asked Srila Prabhupada, "When did you become the spiritual leader of Krishna consciousness?" Srila Prabhupada replied, "What is that?" Brahmananda clarified, he is asking, "When did you become the spiritual leader of Krishna consciousness?" Srila Prabhupada immediately replied, "When my Guru Maharaj ordered me, this is Guru Parampara." The Indian man is still pursuing his question. Did it? Srila Prabhupada, try to understand. Don't go very speedily. A Guru can become Guru when he is ordered by his Guru. That's all. Otherwise, nobody can become Guru. In another quote, in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Prabhupada says, one should take initiation from a bona fide spiritual master coming in the disciplic succession who is authorized by his predecessor spiritual master. This is called Diksha Vidhana. And yet, in another room conversation in San Diego, recorded on June 29, 1972, in this conversation, Acharya Rishi asked Prabhupada, how many qualifications does a spiritual master have in terms of being a spiritual master? And Prabhupada replied, one qualification, he is a devotee of God, that's all. Acharya Rishi continued, also is he designated? Does he have to be designated by the former spiritual master? Prabhupada immediately, oh yes, oh yes. So, Acharya Rishi, he has to be a devotee, surrendered and designated. That is, identifies disciplic succession, both surrender and designation. And in another lecture on the nectar of devotion, Srila Prabhupada said this. Similarly, bona fide Guru means he must be authorized by the superior Guru. Just like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Amara Ajna Guru Haya Taraye Desha. He must receive the order from superior. And the superior must be bona fide. Then he is bona fide, not self-made. So, from this, what we have to note is, successor Acharya need not be necessarily initiated by the predecessor Acharya, although there is no rule that prevents such an event happening. For example, Srila Prabhupada was initiated by his predecessor Acharya, His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and Srila Prabhupada was chosen by him to be the next Acharya. On the other hand, this is the argument given by the self-appointed Guru supporters. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj were not initiated by their respective predecessor Acharyas. This is the claim of the supporters of the self-appointed guru system in ISKCON. How far their claim is true is debatable, because Srila Prabhupada in the Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Leela, chapter 1 summary says, Srila Vishwanatha Chakravarti Thakur accepted Srila Jagannath Das Babaji, who initiated Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, who in turn initiated Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji, the spiritual master of Om Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj, the divine master of our humble self. So, although ISKCON Mumbai's group claims that Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur was not initiated by Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada says that Bhaktivinoda Thakur was initiated by Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj. Nowhere in his entire teachings does Srila Prabhupada talk about a person called Bipin Bihari Goswami. So just to justify their self-authorized guru system, the GBC of ISKCON Mumbai group is finding fault with Srila Prabhupada himself and blatantly contradicts Srila Prabhupada. Be that as it may, the fact is that in a Guru Parampara, the Acharya ordered by the predecessor Acharya need not be initiated by him. Here is what Srila Prabhupada says in this letter to Kirtanananda, written on 25th of January 1969. Another point is that disciplic succession does not mean one has to be directly a disciple of a particular person. So without taking shelter of the Bipin Bihari Goswami argument, we see that Srila Prabhupada in 1969 itself said that disciplic succession doesn't necessarily mean that one has to be a direct disciple of the predecessor spiritual master. So, does that mean that ours is a Siksha Parampara? Well, Srila Prabhupada never referred to our Parampara as Diksha Parampara or Siksha Parampara. These are concoctions of the GBC of ISKCON Mumbai group, just to confuse the devotees and make them think that their self-appointed guru system is authorized. Srila Prabhupada always referred to our Parampara as Guru Parampara or disciplic succession. So let us stick to Srila Prabhupada's terminology, that's safe. But still, does that mean that taking Diksha from a guru who is not a pure devotee is alright? Well, in the same letter to Kirtanananda on 25th Jan 1969, Srila Prabhupada elaborates this. Regarding your question about the disciplic succession coming down from Arjuna, it is just like I have got my disciples, so in the future, these many disciples may have many branches of disciplic succession. Now, here, let me clarify. Prabhupada is talking about a possibility. So, talking about a possibility is not an order. So, this sentence, this statement by Prabhupada, that just like I have got my disciples, so in future, these many disciples may have many branches of disciplic succession, does not mean that they have to initiate on their own. For example, the Prime Minister of India may say, there is a possibility of war with Pakistan. Does that mean that the army chief immediately says, oh, Prime Minister said that there is a possibility of war, so immediately go out and attack Pakistan? No. Mention of a possibility does not constitute an order. So Prabhupada here is just mentioning a possibility. It may be possible. So this does not constitute an order. So Prabhupada further goes on to say, so in one line of disciples, we may not say another name coming from a different line. But this does not mean that person whose name does not appear was not in the disciplic succession. Narada was the spiritual master of Vyasadeva, and Arjuna was Vyasadev's disciple, not as initiated disciple, but there was some blood relation between them. So there is connection in this way, and it is not possible to list all such relationships in the short description given in Bhagavad Gita as it is. Another point is that disciplic succession does not mean one has to be directly a disciple of a particular person. The conclusions which we have tried to explain in our Bhagavad Gita as it is the same as those conclusions of Arjuna. Arjuna accepted Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and we also accept the same truth under the disciplic succession of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Things equal to the same thing are equal to one another. This is an axiomatic truth. So, there is no difference of opinion of understanding Krishna between ourselves and Arjuna. Another example is that a tree has many branches and you will find one leaf here and another leaf there. But if you take this leaf and the other leaf and you press them both, you will see that the taste is the same. The taste is the conclusion, and from the taste you can understand that both leaves are from the same tree. So, this example given in this letter by Srila Prabhupada is that of Arjuna and Vyasadeva. Arjuna might not be the initiated disciple of Vyasadeva, but still he could also be an Acharya. Now, does that mean Arjuna was initiated by someone who was not a pure devotee? Definitely not. Because Srila Prabhupada gives the example of two leaves from the same tree, meaning that one devotee may be initiated by a pure devotee coming down from one branch, while the predecessor guru might be coming down from another branch. The predecessor guru might order this devotee who is initiated from a different branch to become the next guru in his line. So both are initiated by pure devotees, both are pure devotees themselves. In that way, the guru in the Guru Parampara may not be initiated directly by the predecessor guru, but he still is initiated by a pure devotee in some other line. Therefore, all leaves taste the same, meaning all the gurus in the Guru Parampara are pure devotees. So, the criterion for appointment to the Guru Parampara as the next Acharya or Diksha Guru is not Diksha by the predecessor Acharya or Siksha, but rather order by the predecessor Acharya, as we have seen from the previous quotes of Srila Prabhupada which we shared in the beginning. So this is the process of appointing the Guru. Now we come to the second process. The second process, separate and unrelated from the above process. What was the above process? The process of appointing a Guru by the predecessor Guru. So this is the first process. Now the second process, which is separate and unrelated to this process of appointment of a Guru by the predecessor Guru, is that of the deliverance of a conditioned soul. The process of deliverance of a conditioned soul happens by the combination of revelation of transcendental knowledge in his heart and the destruction of all accumulated past sinful reaction. This process, as all of you know, is called Diksha. Divyam Jnanam Yato Dadyat and Kuryat Papasya Sankshayam. For a conditioned soul to obtain Diksha requires that he must search out an Uttamadikari, Paramahamsa Acharya, who is part of the Guru Parampara, and the devotee has to surrender to him and take Diksha from him. Such a conditioned soul cannot be delivered back to Godhead without taking Diksha from a Paramahamsa Acharya of the Guru Parampara. The only way a conditioned soul can get connected to the Guru Parampara is the process of Diksha. So Srila Prabhupada mentions in this, if you do not take your initiation from the Sampradaya, then it is useless. Now there are so many Apasampradaya. They do not come in disciplic succession, but becomes Guru, teacher. Therefore, everything is topsy-turvy. Nobody has got fixed idea. What is God? Everyone has created his own philosophy. The whole thing is now confused. So, as we can see in the above quote, initiation must be taken from the Sampradaya. That means the Guru who gives the initiation must be a person who is part of the Sampradaya or who is in the Sampradaya or Guru Parampara. Now, in another quote, Prabhupada says, otherwise one becomes Guru, anyone, just like nowadays they become. They are manufacturing Guru. Guru is not manufactured. Guru is in the disciplic succession. Guru is in the disciplic succession. One who strictly follows the footsteps of the Shad Goswamis. This is from the lecture in the Srimad Bhagavatam. In another place, Prabhupada says, our Guru or spiritual master comes down from that disciplic succession. It is not that somebody all of a sudden becomes Guru and manufactures his own philosophy. We don't accept such nonsense. We must accept somebody who is actually bona fide, coming in disciplic succession, not others. And yet another place, Prabhupada says, one should take initiation from a bona fide spiritual master, coming in the disciplic succession, who is authorized by his predecessor spiritual master. This is called Diksha Vidhana. So, in this last quote, Prabhupada makes it clear that Guru is in the disciplic succession, and in other places Prabhupada says the Guru comes down from that disciplic succession. In the disciplic succession or from the disciplic succession means that the Guru has to be one of the 32 personalities mentioned in the Guru Parampara. It cannot be otherwise. Diksha taken from such a Guru results in taking the disciple back to Godhead. So Prabhupada says in the Srimad Bhagavatam, according to Shastra, the duty of the Guru is to take the disciple back to Godhead. If he is unable to do so and instead hinders the disciple in going back to Godhead, he should not be a Guru. In other words, from this quote, unless the Guru has the capability to take the disciple back to Godhead, he should not give initiation. Thus, we can clearly see that one process of liberation for a conditioned soul involves Diksha from an Acharya in the Guru Parampara, while the other process of appointment of a successor Acharya does not necessarily involve Diksha. Both processes are unrelated. One is the process of appointment of a Guru, and the other is the appointment of a disciple. Both are separate, independent, and cannot be compared. We cannot apply the principles of appointment of a Guru to those of the appointment of a disciple or vice versa. Hence, irrespective of whether our parampara is Diksha Parampara or Siksha Parampara, no one can become Guru in ISKCON without the specific order of Srila Prabhupada. And such a Diksha Guru must necessarily be a pure devotee, 33rd in the Parampara. And as we all know, Srila Prabhupada never ordered anyone to become Diksha Guru. Hence, we have to follow the order of Srila Prabhupada given in the July 9th, 1977 directive, and this directive is to be followed in ISKCON to avoid the violation of the principles of Vaishnava Siddhanta. Now, one more important point we must remember is that if we were to accept the argument of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur being appointed by Bipin Bihari Goswami, then the question arises that why should the GBC of ISKCON Mumbai group limit the Diksha Gurus to only disciples of Srila Prabhupada or the disciples of their self-appointed Gurus? Bipin Bihari Goswami was not in the Parampara. So someone can argue that we can bring in Vaishnavas or devotees from outside ISKCON and declare him also to be a Diksha Guru in ISKCON. Why limit it to only devotees within ISKCON? So we can see that their argument to justify their self-appointed Guru system can only create more problems in the ISKCON movement. Shruti Smriti Puranadi Pancharatriki Vidhimmina Aikantiki Harer Bhaktir Utpatayaiva Kalpate. The GBC of ISKCON Mumbai has created this self-appointed Guru system out of thin air without any reference to Sadhu, Shastra or Guru. They have contradicted Srila Prabhupada and in some cases even changed Srila Prabhupada's instructions to fit their concocted no objection Guru system. Actually, if you want a proof of this, in the original Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Leela, chapter 1 summary, Srila Prabhupada said this, which we mentioned at the beginning of this discussion. Srila Vishwanatha Chakravarti Thakur accepted Srila Jagannath Das Babaji, who initiated Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, who in turn initiated Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji, the spiritual master of Om Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj, the divine master of our humble self. So this did not fit into their self-appointed no objection Guru system. So what did they do? They changed Prabhupada's books to Srila Vishwanatha Chakravarti Thakur accepted Srila Jagannath Das Babaji, the spiritual master of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, who in turn accepted, replaced the word initiated with accepted, Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji, the spiritual master of Om Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj, the divine master of our humble self. So we can see how the GBC's concoction is playing havoc with the society and the lives of innocent devotees. The GBC has the audacity to change Prabhupada's books, to contradict him, to find fault with Prabhupada's words. And because of their actions, So many innocent devotees' spiritual lives have been destroyed because this GBC thrust upon them without their consent or knowledge a neophyte devotee as their Diksha Guru. And subsequently, when the neophyte Guru fell down, thousands of devotees who were initiated by him had to suffer spiritual, mental, and emotional trauma and agony. Srila Prabhupada said in a lecture, therefore, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu confirms, Ye Krishna Tattva Veta Sei Guru Haya. One who has understood Krishna as the supreme controller, the supreme person, the supreme maintainer, and everything, the supreme ultimate, then he can become Guru. Otherwise, don't try to become Guru. Impersonalist, half understood, partially understood, he cannot become Guru. This is the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's formula. Therefore, first of all, try to understand Krishna. You will understand in such a way that you can refute all others' argument, all others' opposition. There are so many opposing elements. Then you are Guru. Otherwise, you cannot become a Guru. Guru is not so tiny thing or trifle thing that everyone becomes Guru Maharaj. No, that is not Guru. Samahatma Vasudevaha Sarvamiti Samahatma Sudurlabhaha. So, you heard what Prabhupada said? Half understood, partially understood, he cannot become Guru. Only an Uttamadhikari Guru in the Guru Parampara can claim to know full and not partial. Conditioned souls cannot know fully, they can only know partially. In other words, conditioned souls cannot become Guru. To become a Guru and to give Diksha is not a trifle thing. It is an extremely serious affair because Guru has to take the disciple back to Godhead. So there is not a single shred of evidence that Srila Prabhupada ordered Gurus to be nominated with a no objection indicated by the GBC body. How long will the GBC stubbornly refuse to accept the truth and keep coming up with various concoctions just to fulfill their megalomaniacal ambition to become Diksha Guru? How long will the GBC continue to slaughter innocent devotees' spiritual lives to quench their thirst for honor, prestige, and worship? Without a direct order from Srila Prabhupada, ISKCON's self-appointed no objection Gurus are not in the Guru Parampara. Thus, the Guru nomination system of ISKCON is unauthorized, while the RTVIK system authorized by Srila Prabhupada in writing via the July 9, 1977 directive fulfills all the conditions stipulated for a devotee to take initiation from a Mahabhagavata in the Guru Parampara and go back to Godhead. The RTVIK process is independent of whether the Guru Parampara is Siksha or Diksha Parampara. Whether the Guru Parampara is Siksha or Diksha Parampara has no relevance to the process of taking Diksha from Srila Prabhupada via the RTVIK system personally instituted in ISKCON by Srila Prabhupada. So thus, the RTVIK system does not violate any principle, even if our Guru Parampara is considered to be based on Siksha and not Diksha. All devotees are requested to reject the self-appointed no objection Guru system promoted by the GBC of ISKCON Mumbai and instead please take shelter of the RTVIK system ordered by Srila Prabhupada on July 9, 1977 and followed by the GBC of ISKCON Bangalore. Hare Krishna, Vishwaguru Srila Prabhupada ki Jai.